Welcome to AU Nation. I'm your host, Evan Blank, here to bring you the latest opinions from your very own student media. Joining me today first is JJ Jackson. He's a sports analyst for Eagle Eye TV and the co-host for the Eagle Eye Sports Report. JJ, how are you today?
Evan, I'm doing well. Glad to be back on the show on this side of the table.
That's right. JJ filled in for me last week. It was very nice. I was supposed to go to Birmingham to cover Auburn softball, but we got rained out. So I sat in the control room over there and watched JJ do his thing. But we got to move on. Next is Noah Gardner. He's here from Weagle 91.1 FM. He's the host of GH Sports, calls Auburn softball and soccer games for that station. Noah, how are you today?
Doing great, Evan. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Got a fresh cut over there.
Yep.
Not too bad.
Thanks, man.
And lastly, we have from the great Auburn Plainsman, Nathan Deal, sports writer. Nathan, how are you?
I'm doing great, Evan. I'm glad to be back.
Hey, we always love having you back. All right, those are your analysts. Now on to our first topic. We start with NCAA softball. The Auburn softball team's off to a fast 20-1 start. They have a doubleheader tonight against Tennessee State that you can catch on Weagle 91.1 FM. However, SEC play starts this weekend, and looming over the Tigers is number 1 Florida. Do you guys think Auburn is ready to do battle with the Gators?
I believe they are. I think that this is a team that's, 21 games so far. They'll play 2 more to get to 23. 23 games into your season following the College World Series run that they had last season. I think they're ready for their shot at Florida, the reigning national champions, and the undefeated team that they are. I think this team's very excited and fired up for the weekend series.
Well, I think they're ready, but I'm just curious, how many games do you think they're going to win out of this series?
I honestly believe that they can, if they're hitting the ball well and if pitching can contain the Florida bats, I think that they can take 2 out of 3 games. I think a 3-game sweep is difficult because you have to give credit to how good Florida is, but I do believe that Auburn has the ability to win 2 of them.
I think realistically Auburn's going to probably take about 1 game out of this series, mainly because I've seen time and time again this year, at least in certain games when they face solid pitching, that they've had a hard time cashing in on opportunities.
Right.
I mean, this past weekend, in their game against Georgia State, they had bases loaded twice, were unable to score runs in those in that inning, and so I could see it being a problem.
Well, you have to consider that this is largely the same team as last year, a team that played Florida in an extra inning game in the World Series. They only lost 3 seniors from that team. A lot of new talent like freshman pitcher Michaela Martin, 5-0 this year. Definitely a lot of talent. It's in Auburn. This is absolutely a winnable series for the Tigers. I think they're an even better team than they were last year, to be honest.
No question, it's winnable. Florida's the exact same way, and they're the number 1 team in the nation. Comparing these 2 teams, there's not a lot of separation, but it can go either way. I just think Florida's the slightly better team.
Yeah, it's going to be a really exciting series overall. Obviously, you've got Auburn coming in, number 3 ranked team in the most recent polls. But you've also, those same Tigers are ranked number 1 in the nation in batting average. Highest batting average in the nation, 393, I believe is what it is. But then you got Florida coming in, number 1, ranked overall, undefeated. It's going to be a very entertaining series. And a reminder, you can catch all home games, including the Florida series, on WEGL 91.1 FM and streaming online at auburntigers.com. But we move on to our next topic. It's a little basketball. Can you smell it in the air? March Madness is around the corner. You can almost hear the sigh of many people as brackets are about to be busted. What is the best part for you about March Madness? Noah, start us off.
I love watching the Cinderella runs. People who know me know I love the little guy, and so you see these 13 seeds, 14 seeds, sometimes even 15s, pulling off these major upsets, and you kind of see the emotion of college sports in those games. So it's really exciting to watch, and I'm excited about Conference Championship Week for the same reason, because some unlikely Cinderella is going to crash into the NCAA tournament picture.
The Cinderella part is definitely interesting, but my favorite thing is the first 2 days of the tournament. There is just so much going on. Last year, the first day of the tournament is honestly the best tournament day I think I've ever seen. It seemed like every game was close. There's always so many thrillers, so many upsets. The first couple of days of the tournament, there's nothing like it in sports for me.
Yeah, I believe that, the first Thursday and Friday, there's so many games going on that literally the entire day you have a college basketball game to watch in March Madness, and I think that's ridiculous. And Noah, you love the small-time basketball. And so, yeah, opportunity for teams to go on those Cinderella runs is definitely very exciting. But looking at this tournament in particular, I don't think that there's really one dominant team. There hasn't been all season long. I think that North Carolina can get to that point, but they haven't shown that yet this season. And so with that being said, I like the fact that it's a wide open tournament in that, there's 7 or 8 teams that really could be your national champion here in a couple weeks.
I could certainly see Kansas becoming
Right,
that
absolutely.
team too, but like you said, there's no dominant team this year.
I think they're
which makes
already
it-
that team.
That's what's going to make it such a great tournament. Anything can happen this year.
Yeah, I'm excited. March Madness is a great time of the year, mostly because it's been, I believe, right around 30 days since the Super Bowl. So March Madness is what launches us out of this sports purgatory and gets us back into the swing of things. All right, that's your local segment. Coming up next, we turn national. We've got some NFL news, NBA, among other things. That's next on Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6.
I hope that you've been able to learn a strong work ethic surrounded by character, integrity, perseverance, so that when your 1 second comes, you'll be prepared for it.
Chris Davis.
45, there goes Davis!
Your 1 second, our 1 second is now. And our lives have been guided by the principles of one of the greatest academic institutions in the country, Auburn University.
Welcome back to AU Nation on Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6. We turn now to the national level and the NFL, and it is official. One of the best in the game has decided to go out on top. Peyton Manning officially retired Monday. What lasting impact do you think Peyton Manning has on the game of football and the young quarterbacks that aspire to be him? Nathan, we'll start with you.
Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious he's one of the most legendary quarterbacks of all time. You could make the case for best quarterback ever. 2 Super Bowl rings, even though the last one was mostly because of one of the greatest defenses in NFL history, but you have the most passing yards ever. He really just set the standard for quarterbacks. Won his last 3 AFC championship games against Tom Brady, so that's another thing he gets to, go out on. So absolutely one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and it's going to be interesting to see who can break his records.
He revolutionized the game. I mean, if you watch the press conference yesterday, John Elway said it best about how Peyton Manning did change the game. He figured out defenses before the play even started, and that's something that quarterbacks prior to Peyton Manning didn't really think about doing. They called the play in the huddle, and then they went up to the line of scrimmage, and then they ran it, no matter what they saw. And Peyton Manning got the leg up with the famous Omaha, and so I think his changes for the game really are going to be long and lasting because that's what quarterbacks do now. They read defenses. But players like Cam Newton are going to be the pioneers now because of how they play the game at the position, because that's really the way the game's going in that direction. And so I don't know how much of a way his athleticism will affect the game, but the way he approached the game mentally definitely will leave a lasting
No, I will
effect.
always remember Peyton Manning just because growing up watching the NFL, he was always at the top of his game, and he was really the standard for quarterbacks. And you mentioned all the great statistics and the records he holds in NFL history. His legacy is going to last forever. And like he said yesterday in the press conference, 18 years in the NFL wore 18 on his chest. 18 really is just a good number, and I will always remember 18 to be Peyton Manning. So thanks for everything you've done for the NFL, Peyton.
Also, it's going to be really hard to top the retirement announcement Peyton had. That was just a great,
Incredible.
yeah. It was hard not to feel a lot of emotions
Yeah,
watching
he's a
that.
stud.
All right, and we finish it off with the NBA. The Golden State Warriors dropped a big game to the LA Lakers a few nights ago. With the season winding down, it's time to put up or shut up. Will the Warriors break the Bulls record for most wins in a season? JJ, we'll start with you.
Absolutely, I don't see a way that they have it set up to win. Going into last night's game against Orlando, the first game since that Laker loss, they had 21 games remaining. 16 of them were at home, and this is a team that hasn't lost at home, and they came back and beat Orlando. They have the longest home winning streak, and if you have now 15 of your last 20 games at home, I think that you are pretty set to break that record.
And they probably will. Do I want them to? No. I want the Chicago Bulls record to be emblazoned in gold. And it's just like something interesting that I saw was I'm a Lakers fan. I saw the Lakers beat the Warriors the other night, and I realized that I'm rooting against the Warriors here to not get their record. And I was listening to the Dan Le Batard show, and they said it's going to be only a matter of time before everybody starts to hate, Swish City and the Warriors because they're winners and people hate winners.
I mean, people will hate anything if you show it to them enough. Even something they was considered a good story will become, it becomes the only story, and it can drive some people sick. I don't see them breaking the record, but I could see them tying it. I don't think that they can get through the rest of the season losing fewer than 3 games. The losses are concerning because they seem to not beat good teams. When they play good teams, they always seem to play really well. I could see them tying the record, but exceeding it, I don't know.
And so with 5 of those road games remaining, 2 of them are against San Antonio, which a lot of people feel like is going to be a Western Conference Finals preview. So it is going to be interesting to see them going down this stretch, but ultimately I do think they win the record. Noah, I hate to pick on you just a little bit, but what is your reasoning for them not getting this record other than the fact that do you see a weakness within this team, or because it seems to me with your argument that you just made that you just don't want them to get the record?
No, I
You
said
want the
they
Bulls.
probably will.
Okay.
But I don't want them to.
Okay.
Okay. Just because.
So you do think they will break the record?
Yes.
No probablys.
Yes.
You do? Okay.
By a game. Yes.
Okay. And you think they'll tie it?
Yes.
Is that safe to say? Okay, there you go.
Noah Gardner, one of the ESPN babies that just slurps at the church of Michael Jordan and can't get off of that train. All right, coming up next, though, we got a fun new game. You don't want to miss that. If you like numbers, you'll love this. That's next on AU Nation, Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6. Welcome back to AU Nation. It is time to play a new game. We call it Blank the Numbers. We're running out of puns on my last name. I'm going to give the analyst a team or player along with a number, and the analyst has to guess what that number means. Analysts, you think you're prepared for this one?
I sure do hope so.
All right.
I'm ready to have some
I
fun.
guess.
Well, Nathan, you guessed, but you're up first. Number 1, Yale Bulldogs basketball. The number is 54.
That is the number of years that have passed since they last made the NCAA tournament.
Number 2, Yankees closer Aroldis Chapman. 30 is your number.
I'm guessing he just turned that old.
Question number 3, ex-Illinois head football coach Bill Cubit. The number is 4.
I'm guessing that that's the contract, the years on his contract that ultimately he's not going to get thanks to Lovie Smith.
All right, Nathan, you went 1 for 3. You got Yale correct. Yankees closer Aroldis Chapman. 30 is the number of games suspended for his domestic violence incident. And ex-Illinois head football coach Bill Cubit. 4 is the number of months he was fired after signing a new 2-year deal. So there you go.
I
Noah.
got the
That's dirty.
contract
That is
part. There was a
You
contract
did get
involved.
the contract part, right? Noah, we turn to you now. Question number 1, Golden State Warriors. The number is 45.
It's the amount of games they've won at home in a row.
Question
just
number
trashed them.
2, Calvin Johnson. The number is 0.
The amount of injuries he sustained in his career.
Question number 3, Auburn men's basketball. 13 is the number.
The amount of years it's been since Auburn's been to the NCAA tournament.
All right, Noah. According to the sheet I have in front of me, I don't know how many years it's been since they've been to the NCAA tournament. That could be right. But you also went 1 for 3. You got the Warriors correct. Calvin Johnson's 0 is the number of playoff wins in his career.
Well, considering it's 2016, the last time Auburn went to the NCAA tournament was 2003. It has been 13 years. Just
Well,
saying.
too bad. Not what we were looking for. 13 is the seed in
No,
this
Gardner,
year's
drop
SEC
it.
tournament. So, 1 for 3.
Bitter again.
Yes, I am.
If it comes to a
Kid is so
tiebreak, Noah,
competitive.
we'll give that one to you.
Thank you.
JJ,
Here we go.
it is your turn
Okay.
to defeat these two. Question number
Here we
1.
go.
Auburn softball, the number is 12.
Ooh, 12. Is 12 the number of run rule wins they have so far this season? That would be my guess.
Question number 2. Peyton Manning, the number is 21.
Peyton Manning, 21. Gosh, I just praised him a lot on our show. Oh, man. Peyton Manning, 21. I'm going to say the number of, I have no idea.
Come on, give us something.
He played 18 years, so it's not that. 21 is the number of records he holds in NFL.
Question number 3. Steph Curry, the number is 301.
The number of three-pointers he has made in a single season, a record that he holds in NBA.
Mr. Jackson, ice water in his veins, 3 for 3, pulled that Peyton Manning
Wow.
one out of somewhere.
Gosh,
All right.
I am clutch like Peyton.
Now, JJ, you face the final test.
Here we go.
The big question is what we call it. The Lakers, 727 is the number. 0.727 to be specific.
.727. This has to deal with the Los Angeles Lakers.
It does.
.727. Certainly not their win percentage. Oh, man. Is this the, I would say, right, something to do with the percent chance they have of getting the number 1 pick would be my guess.
Mr. Jackson, you are incorrect. .727 is the difference in win percentage between the Golden State Warriors and the LA Lakers, and it was the biggest upset in NBA history in that regard.
Just
So,
saying, I knew that.
there you are. JJ Jackson
Oh, you
wins
knew that one? You
this
knew that
game the
one,
first time we play
Mr.
it,
Laker fan?
but then fails to answer the big question. But hey, coming up next, we talk academics and sports. You don't want to miss that in our burning question on AU Nation, Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6.
This is a place where it only takes a second to imagine your future. Grasp a new concept in class. Inspire a child's curiosity. Discover a real-world solution. Seize an unexpected opportunity.
There goes Davis.
This is where you gain the preparation, confidence, and determination to succeed. This is Auburn.
Welcome back to AU Nation, Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6. It is our final segment, and as always, we introduce our burning question. Ben Simmons has been ruled ineligible for the Wooden Player of the Year award for academic reasons. This has been a problem for college sports for quite some time. Another big situation as of late has been the University of North Carolina scandal with their classes they've had. Do you think schools really care about a student's academics? A tough question. Panel, what do you think?
Well, I don't want to lump every school together on this, but I'm going to go ahead and be willing to argue that the prominent schools, the schools that are good in their athletic programs, they really probably don't care that much about education for their athletes. I think they probably care about more what's happening on the field, which also should link to another idea here that I have about sports is rule change. Let's get rid of the whole, you have to, for basketball, one and done. Let's get rid of that. You can go out of high school or you have to commit to a university for 3 years so that the players who do care about education do go and get that education. And then the players who don't, fine, go get your money.
I can see your reasoning for thinking about that, but if any player has any kind of stock coming out of high school, who's going to decide to go to college in that scenario?
Well,
I mean, you're talking about really decreasing the quality of college athletics in this situation because all of those talented players are not going to go anymore. They're not going to go to college at all.
Well, who's to tell them that they don't have a choice to go and seek out money? I mean, pursuit of happiness is in our Constitution. Who shouldn't have that choice?
I mean, it's definitely, a big issue in college sports. As far as if schools really care about academics, I think to an extent they do, because a lot of times schools will brag about our team had so-and-so graduation rate or so-and-so GPA. I mean, and you have people that, like Auburn has people that go into classes and make sure their athletes are going to class.
Right.
So we know Auburn at least cares a little bit, and I think all big schools care a little bit. But I mean, it's definitely all about the athletics. I don't think LSU is losing sleep over Ben Simmons' grades. I think they're losing sleep over their underachieving team, but not his grades.
I think it does all tie together, which is kind of what you're thinking. I think, however, when we're talking Ben Simmons and we're talking the NBA, 3 years is really extreme. I'm a fan of, let's make it, hey, you could go out of high school or go to college for 2 years, but that third year I think is just way too extreme. And also I think that the universities will and the athletic programs will benefit from 2 years and knowing what you're going to get and knowing that, hey, these guys are going to be here for 2 years, and that'll really help coaches on the recruiting end. And then in terms of academics, I think that can also tie back into whether or not college athletes should be paid or receive more of a stipend than they already do, because they've got so much focus on performing at the athletic level that, you know, their grades are slipping up because all they're trying to do is zone in on performing well on the stage.
But do you think schools really care about their athletes' grades?
Ultimately, the way society is right now, they want to win. So I see the point that you're trying to make.
They just want to meet the quota. That's all they want. I mean, there are certain guidelines set. I mean, ask the UConn Huskies. They're not going dancing because of not being able to meet an academic quota.
Yeah, NCAA rules can definitely make schools care more. Schools may care to the extent of keeping their athletes eligible, and then any good grades that get beyond that is just extra.
I think the bottom line that we just need to there is no perfect solution to this problem because there are so many different stories, and we're talking about do academics care, and Ben Simmons is one example. Well, LSU has 14, 13 other players on that team, but none of them are Ben Simmons except for Ben Simmons, and none of them are going to receive the NBA salary that he's going to have, which is why this is just a topic for discussion. There is no definite answer to a way to solve this problem.
An interesting debate that will continue to rage on for a long time. Analysts, thank you for your opinions today. You did a great job. We love having you all in here. All right, that's it for AU Nation today. You can visit eagleeyetv.com for more of AU Nation, and make sure to tune in 2 weeks from now, same time, same place. I'm Evan Blank, and until next time, Auburn, when you're rich, you don't write checks. Straight cash, homie. We'll see you next week.